We were asked by one of you guys on a recent video on how long myself and Toon could carry on working as we do on the farm, you know, as regards our age and the physical exertion, you know, working in this heat. They also asked in the same comment, where do we see the farm in the next 3 to 5 years? So rather than do a lengthy reply to that in the comment section, I said I'll bang out a video. So first off, yeah, we can't cheat time, although we look incredibly young for our age. Our Toon does. Yeah, time is catching us up. It's not all doom and gloom, don't get me wrong, it's, you know, but we are feeling our age, and yeah, it does get harder and harder, but it's not as clear cut as that, I don't think, because it's a bit of a sliding scale. So we just completed our 4 years being here full time on the farm, and generally speaking, I'd say that most of the big heavy duty jobs are done. Yeah, I know a few weeks ago, just after the new year, we had 3 days flat out doing the fencing. Yeah, that was really hard, but you know, in the 4 years that we've been here, that was the second hardest job that we've done. But by and large, most of the big heavy workloads, the big tasks, they're all done almost. So, you know, combine that with it's not the right word, offset that with our age. As we're getting older, the tasks are getting less arduous, I would say. The amount of tasks is probably longer that we have to do, even just our day-to-day running of the farm. But yeah, I would say that they're not as arduous as they used to be. You know, planting over 3,500 eucalyptus and 160 bamboos and that sort of thing. They were really hard jobs. Likewise, putting 50 palms in, you know, everything was dug by hand and watered by hand through dry seasons as well. We didn't set up irrigation everywhere. So moving on to where we see ourselves and the farm in 3 to 5 years time, to me it seems a long way off, three to 5 years, but I'm not sure whether you're gonna, or we will certainly recognise the place in 3 years, perhaps even in 2 years. You know, this year is going to see some dramatic changes, and I know we have had dramatic changes every single year since we've been here. I mean, you look at some of the old photos we got of the ponds over the back, that when we first had them dug, that popped up on a Facebook memory for 4 years just today. So what's going to be happening now is we're going to transform the farm in regards the fodder systems for the goat. The goats are going to be let out a lot less, which sounds harsh, I know, but it's one of the things that we're really hell-bent on, keeping the herd super healthy. And with what happened last year, won't go into that again, we just want to make sure that the risk of contamination and poisoning are kept to an absolute minimum, and to make sure that the water source is clear from parasites as well. So the goats are going to be spending more time, if not most of their time, on the island, and they're not going to be able to drink into the lake. So what that will enable us to do is totally transform the whole farm to create food for the goats. So it's not going to look manicured, you know, Toon's style and my style. It's a bit here and a bit there, all over the place. It looks quite natural to me and to Toon. That's the way we like it. But yeah, there are going to be, you know, rye upon rye of Napier grass, banana plants as well, moringa and gatin, leucaena. That's better. I forgot to lock the gate behind me. Growing all the food for the goats, what the idea is to have like a closed system on the farm, so we're not getting any food from anywhere else. Oh, that wind is lovely. Grow everything, source everything from our own land. You know what's gone into growing that, and I think we're looking at a lot healthier animals doing it that way. That is going to create more work in one aspect, because at the moment the goats are just let out. As soon as it gets dry, they're out. Whereas what's going to happen is we are going to be cutting and shredding fodder every single day. Well, certainly with the napier and the banana plants, the Lucina is just cut off and then laid on the table for them. So that is going to be more work. But on the flip side of that, where we will claw back loads of time is in the rainy season, because the rainy season we can't get the goats out on pasture early enough, and some days they can't get out at all. And Toon and her mum, they were doing like 2, sometimes 3 trips a day just to cut the Lucina and keep the goats fed. So rainy season should then become a pleasurable time for us, because everything will grow so fast and we'll have more than enough food for the goats to cut and prepare for them. You can see the majority of the herd over here at the moment. So as it stands, we've got 2 separate pasture areas, and we just rotate them between each 2 every 2 weeks. These are going to be not available to them in the future, and we'll be growing Lucina and lots of napier grass in these areas. We'll also be doing some corn as well, which will be something a little bit different for us. Corn for the animals and corn for us and corn for the fish. To make things easier, when Macro Man comes to finish the island, bit of a tip, bit of a heads up, we reckon about 2 to 3 weeks, he's going to be doing a bit of work this side as well. At the moment I've just done a couple of sort of like temporary weeping dams down here for the ditch that goes all the way around the outside and to the pipe through to next door. And because we can foresee that we're going to be doing a lot of cutting down there, we want to be able to get Ben Hur into there to ferry everything up on this top road round the lake and back to the gate access and onto the goat island, and then we'll shred everything there. So we need a bit of a road putting in, so he's going to put a couple of nice gentle slopes down onto the pasture down there, and built into the slopes or the little roads is going to put pipe work so that we'll still be able to control the water levels here. Otherwise we'll get to the rainy season, the whole thing will be flooded. He's going to get the soil from 2 places. One actually where he's going to put the road into the side of it and create a deep well, so that when the dry season's upon us and the water level starts dropping down, the wild fish will pool in there. But that's probably not going to be enough soil there, so we've earmarked some of the soil that's going to be coming out the shelf. So if the extremities of the shelf there is going to take that about 1.5 meters down and then bring it back, and then it's going to leave about 1 meter here. So we're going to have a mini shelf here. All this is going to be planted up with cannas, and then on the inside that's all going to be hyacinth. So in 3 years, hopefully what we're looking at is hyacinth almost all round the lake, with a few swims put in there for fishing. We're going to have a few shelved areas that are remaining the same, which I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, I think it's going to look pretty fantastic. We will also be able to grow plenty of trees and shrubs and bushes and stuff that the goats normally eat. Hopefully get them established, and then in the dry season, when sometimes we will let them out on here, you know, those things are big enough to take care of themselves. And what we'll do when we let the herd out, we'll only let them out for about an hour, like last light, so that they're not a pain in the backside to get back in. So yeah, that was, I think, although it's a nice idea, you know, not free range in your herd, but letting them all out every day and letting them eat what they want, yeah, it is plain to see now that in the rainy season they can get sick very, very quickly. So at the moment they can still get in here and drink out the lake. Blackie's a sod for that girl down there. They're parasites in the water, liver flukes, that sort of thing. So at the moment I'm bringing these buckets out twice a day, 3 big buckets of that. It's got all their vitamins and minerals, soluble mixes added to that. But you know, some will still prefer to drink out the lake, unfortunately. So we've got to take that aspect away from them. But when we let them out for an hour in the future, we'll be with them, and they'll be so excited to get back onto pasture that hasn't been touched for ages that they won't even bother drinking out the lake. Not late afternoon, it's different at the minute You know, there's not a cloud in the sky hardly, and they get through a lot of water. You can see the fodder now. There's not much greenery, so they don't get much water content out of the pasture now. Right, we need to top it up, don't we, Sam, eh? All the kids are doing well. All right, no socks. All right then. All right, 4. Good lad. Tip it up for you. That's better, Doris, isn't it? Get out the sun a little bit. I think what will be one of the major differences in 3 years' time is who's actually here on the farm with us. I don't mean Kai Mook. It'd be great if she was. But yeah, I think we're going to be trying to get someone here working full-time with us. At least, well, we'll say full-time. Thailand full-time is 6 or 7 days a week, but we'd like to have someone 5 days a week with us. And the guy that we want to get on board is Nalur, who's done nearly all the patron projects for us over the last 1.5 years or so. You know, he's a brilliant guy, trustworthy, works hard, and super friendly. And he's the sort of person that we would like to have working here with us, alongside us. So then we could start to delegate some of the jobs or share the workload. You know, even if it's just the daily tasks of cleaning the goat house and maybe doing biochar, if something needs fixing, tweaking, that sort of thing. Any building projects, of course, he's going to be great at doing that. So he's the guy. The only issue we may have is he earns more per day working away doing building work than he does working for us. But although we pay less than he would work for, generally speaking, he said he quite likes it because he gets to stay at home with the family. So hopefully if we can guarantee him at least 5 days a week work, then he'll come on board. No, I'd like to think that's gonna be starting before the 3 years is up. It all depends on how quickly we can get the bank loan paid off. So that was the bank loan that we took out to increase the size of the herd, tweak Goat Island and do the building work on there, and we put some of the money to paying the guys and for the materials for doing the fence. So yeah, you know, we're on schedule to pay that off a little bit earlier. I think once we've paid that off, then we'll make the commitment to get him on board with us if he agrees. Then that should free us up to hopefully spend more time with each other, because although Toon and I work in each other's pockets, you know, most days, it's not all the time, but we don't get to spend much Mr. and Mrs. time. Although the last week or so we've allowed ourselves a few fishing sessions for a few hours a day, it's not quite the same. So hopefully that will free us up a little bit more for that. And it looks like the farm stay side of things is going to take off. Yeah, and in the future, of course, you know, the fishing lake, although quite a few of you want to come and fish it, you know, already, I'm still trying to put people off, you know, at least till Macro Man's been and the actual, all the features are created. But yeah, I'm sure we're going to be getting a sprinkling of people that are interested in that and doing the farm stays as well, a bit of camping, all sorts. But to us, that's just like a cherry or the icing on the cake. It's not really what makes the farm tick. You know, it's the goats that make the farm tick. They're our priority. The lake is just a bonus. People turning up and fishing that and staying on the farm is a bonus. Going on to 5 years' time, I'd love to think that we don't owe anyone anything. Everything looks established. The fish are humongous. I mean, they're growing fast already, so another 5 years there should be a ridiculous size. Yeah, and have a totally closed farm that we're hardly buying anything in. I'm not saying we're going to be self-sufficient. I'm always a bit of a skeptic about people who say they're self-sufficient. You know, quite often you got to buy fuel. I know you can make your own fuel, but you still got to buy clothes, and you know, things still break. You need tools and they need replacing. So as far as being self-sufficient goes, I'll take that with a pinch of salt, but self-reliant I think is one of the best ways I've heard it described. That's what we're aiming for. You know, all our fruit and veg, the mango trees did very well last year. All the bees have, or a lot of the bees have returned again. And it's that sort of thing that means a lot to Toon and myself. I mean, we've got the kingfishers here now. We've got two different types. We've got the larger white-crested kingfisher, and then we've got the small ones, which are more sort of like orange and blue. I don't know what they're called, but they're very similar to the ones that we had back in the UK. We've got way too many pigeons and doves. We've got a few cormorants knocking around. Loads of sort of like egret type birds, and then now and again you get the big open bill storks, lapwings. I mean I've learnt a few names of birds since we've been here, certainly the last year, because the amount of bird activity on the farm is great. The amount of nests we get in here by one of the small yellow coloured birds, fantastic. And the boys make a nest and the girls make a different nest. Yeah, we get loads of those. It's fantastic, it really is good. Thankfully no more monitor lizards for quite a few months. Hopefully we've seen the back of those. That's one of the reasons we don't set up a like a automatic maggot feeder over the lake. Yeah, we have had, as well, you know, we've had quite a lot of problems with big sort of like apex predators here, not the tigers, but yeah, monitor lizards and the pythons. So we don't want any sort of like rotting carcasses around the place. So that's not an option for us, the older maggot dispensers. Right then, the missus has called me back from a brunch. It's nearly midday. I'll fill up the water buckets and bring them back out afterwards, along with a bucket of salt as a bit of a treat for them. Oh, what's our crown jewels, mate? At the end of the day, no one knows for sure how long they can carry on. You know, all we know is we can't carry on indefinitely at the rate of knots that we're working at. But it's all part of life, growing old, isn't it? So as the farm matures and we mature, hopefully we can throttle back on the physical exertion side and enjoy it more and more. I mean, we're enjoying the journey now anyway, apart from the goat poisoning. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I know it's been a little while, guys. We just have been so busy. I know it's my go-to excuse, but hopefully I can get back to doing 2 or 3 videos a week. So please just bear with us, and I'll get to banging them out.